Hello, World Civ class. Welcome to week 3. World Civ 107, that is. So I hope that you are really getting into the mindset of realizing that you're in this class and you're getting a serious background on many parts of the world that is going to help springboard you into really understanding current events. I was going to put an announcement up showing you a topic about India, which I didn't actually address. The current government in India is basically ran by a Hindu nationalist party that some call fascist, but is certainly nationalist, and there has been a real strong backlash against Muslims and other religious minority groups in India. And so when you look at the current tensions, you kind of see, by studying the Mughal background, you kind of understand at least, where some of this started, the history of groups coming in and all of that. And I just kind of want to remind you again of the fact that when we talk about the Mughal dynasty rulers and the Ottoman Empire and the Safavid, that they were all Islamic but ran very differently, very different cultures. Something I try to point out is look at the entire Western Hemisphere, from Canada to the United States to all of Latin America, are civilizations that are dominated by political systems that originate in the West and Western civilization, and are mainly practitioners of a branch of Christianity. Now, Canada, the United States, and Latin America, every country there, they all see themselves as very unique and different, right? Mexico is mainly Christian, a branch Catholic. America has a majority that has been Christian and mainly Protestant. Canada, I'm not quite sure what the divide between Protestant and Catholic is in Canada, but they were very much linked to the UK, which has its own church, official church religion, but Christian. But look how we don't necessarily all see ourselves as one, right? The American nationalists and the fact that we had a president that was popular for trying to create a border there, from an outsider point of view, these are people that have Western civilization. It's their political system's Western civilization, and they're also Christian. They have a different language. Mainly, is that the issue, or is the cultural differences bigger than that? My whole point is just to say, I want you to remember that in the world, we've had very oversimplified versions of the world growing up. And I want you to, just think about that a little bit more. Now we're getting into Africa. And I always resent the fact that I have to bring up slavery at all with Africa, because Africa has so much more history than that. And if you were able to get a class that was focused on, Africa, you would see that, for those of you who had me in my 106 class, Sub-Saharan Africa has a lot going on. I mean, basically, each country on the huge continent has its own rich history. Oh my goodness, it's always falling. And so forth to go on. But as we're covering world civilization and world systems, unfortunately, as Europe, and we'll go into this when Colin and I talk about the rise of Europe as colonial powers, and you look like the Dutch East India Company and things like that, Africa gets absorbed into the global system under the context of slavery, which means that we can't really get to figuring out why Africa is dealing with what it's dealing with today, why the demographics have shifted and the way it has over time, and a whole wide range of topics require us to understand this political reality that was brought into the global economy. And we have to even call that a global economy. And but I always just want to make a reminder to just not think about Africa in that way. And just remind ourselves that those of us who come from European background, Rome really looked down on our ancestors. If we're talking about the European part that's not from basically rooted in Italy and Rome, being called barbarian was like a racial pejorative term about our ancestors, about an empire that did its best over time to crush and destroy the culture that we had and reshape us in the Roman image. So white Europe has went through that kind of thing and had to kind of reinvent its own idea about itself several times over due to Roman colonial power. And so there's so much of this stuff that we don't think about, and I don't have time to go into all this, and this might be a little bit confusing for some of you. I just want to bring out the fact that history and culture is rich, and Africa has to be seen as a part, like if you really want to delve into it, not just in that light, even though I have to cover it here. And so last thing I'm going to say, when it comes to papers, many of you are doing great, but I'm still seeing some people turn in stuff without works cited, or they're putting the works cited at the end, and I have mentioned I want it in parentheses inside the text itself, showing me right after where if you use the information, it should be showing up. That's where you should have the works cited. And I gave you an example of that in a previous announcement. Please look at that and do that. And I don't post work in the calendar. I put it in the weekly work objectives and the link on the top. And most weeks, the discussions and notes will be due on Thursdays, and the paper will be due on Sundays. The only thing that can change is every once in a while, I make more of the work due on Sunday, but that's not usually the case, just the Sunday papers. So please keep that in mind. I'm working with all of you though. This is week 3, we're still kind of new, but we should be getting on board with how to do things by now. I will be working tomorrow. If you need me for anything or you want more help, contact me on Tuesday, and I hope you have a great week.